been an interesting morning. So, glad to see you all here today. So at least it's cool in here. I can offer that for sure. So as you guys were getting ready this morning, brushing your teeth, brushing your hair, choosing what you were going to wear today, did you pick up your love, tuck it somewhere? You got a special pocket for it? How about your light? Did you turn your light on? Hang it over your head, bring it along with you? Yeah. I want to make a point about that. And there's two things. Because that love and the light that you are, you always have been, you always will, and you most definitely are it already, right here and right now. You are love and light. You don't have to stick it in your pocket. You don't have to turn it on. You don't have to remember it. However, what I do want to encourage us to do is in a more deliberate, conscious way, start moving around with the awareness that you are the love and the light. Okay? Every day when you wake up, remind yourself of how amazing and awesome you really are. We can do this. Let's do this together. That's why we come together as a spiritual community, to encourage each other, support each other, hold space. That's what we get to do, is do it together as well as individuals. So you remember the last time I talked how I brought up in the Bible where it says that we're created in the image of God? And we clarified that it was not your eyes and ears and chin and cheek and toes and nose, that you resemble God, right? It's the spiritual being that you are that resembles God, the divine. That is what you were made in the image of. So, and I also asked you, I wanted to make sure everybody agreed, we are spiritual beings having a human experience, right? Yes. Everybody on the same page, right? And I also asked you, where is that spiritual being? Is it floating around in space, floating around on a cloud, on top of a mountain in an ocean, or in us? Maybe all of the above. I'm not so sure that the location is what's significant as much as us being aware of its existence, of us being aware of who we really are. So Neil Donald Walsh says, there is no separation between the creator and the created. Divinity is found in each of the divinity's creation. That means us and him. No gender. It, God, the divine. Because God is the all in all. It is the Alpha, the Omega, the beginning, the end, the first, the last. So therefore, it is not separate from anyone or anything. That's us. We're not separate from anything and anyone. We're connected. And when I tell you, you are the greatest expression of God, I mean it. And I mean it in the most literal sense. And it's so hilarious. I love when this works. There's this friend of mine that lives in Kansas City, and he always posts these positive things. I already had this in my talk, and he posted it today. And he didn't have an author either, so bear with me. It says, isn't it cool that the same amazing being and creator that made the mountains, the oceans, the galaxies, looked at you and said, the world needs one of you too. Own that. You are one of the greatest creations there ever was. What does that really say about you? What does that make you? And I think sometimes spirituality can be like ambiguous and kind of hard for us as humans to like see or put into words because it's in the unseen. So anytime I can come up with a visual to try to show, I do. So I get to say a curse word today. No, I'm just joking. I'm going to talk about a damn. I'm going to talk about a damn. That's probably the worst thing I've ever said all day up here. What I'm going to talk about, though, is I'm going to talk about the Jinping Dam in China. It's one of the biggest dams in the world right now. It was finished, I think, in 2013, 2014, don't quote me. It's like 1,001 feet tall and 1,800 and some odd feet wide. Its total capacity is 6,290,000 acres. It's what they call the catchment is 39,600 square miles. Its ability to create kilowatts is amazing. These numbers are still kind of hard for us to wrap our head around because of how immense it is. But I want you to think about you being like the dam. Because think about that dam. It is this huge, immense body of water that is pure potential energy. And it is so deep. It doesn't think about what it is or what it's doing or how it's going to do it. It just is this immense power. And then it has the dam that, depending on how they allow it to flow, it then puts out into the world more energy and more water. This is just how you are. You have this immense power of water, this pure potential of opportunity and energy that, guess what, you're the moderator of. You get to decide how much you open up that dam and how much you let come out into the world energetically and of you as a spiritual being. That's power, people. I mean, that is significant power. That's why I've talked several times about being a sovereign being. This is about you using your power for the life and the world that we all want. You being the love and the light that we know the world needs and wants. This is about you listening to your own self. You listening to your own soul. It's very easy for us to get distracted into what the busy, noisy world is telling us. This is about you reaching deep within inside you to listen to your own desires, your own needs, your own wants, and what it is you know that you and the world needs for you. Because this is about your higher self. And this is the internal and unlimited version of yourself. It's the part of you that ignites you. It's the part of you that feeds your soul to do much more than you were destined to do in this material world. So Abraham Hicks talks about this, and the term that they call is a blended being. And as I listened, and I've listened to her a lot, I love Abraham Hicks. I work out and walk and all kinds of things to Abraham Hicks. So as I listened, though, to me it made it sound like it's about wrapping your head around, grasping, being aware of who you really are. Just being it. Just being it. And really, it's not as much effort as what we think. It's just letting us do it. And oftentimes we are searching and seeking in ways that may not be the best for us. So Wayne Dyer was doing a talk one day, and I think I've shared this before, where he was doing this talk, and in it he had this story about how there was a blackout. And he was fumbling around in his living room, and he lost his keys in his living room. And he's looking for a while, and he can't find them. And he looks outside and sees that the street lamp is on. You know, I don't know if it was a generator or solar powered or whatever. So he's like, well, I'm going to go look in the light. It makes sense to look in the light. So he goes out and he's rummaging around underneath the street lamp looking for his keys. His neighbor comes by and he says, what you doing, Wayne? And he says, I'm looking for my keys. Oh, I'll help you. So now we've got two of them. After unsuccess for a while, the neighbor finally says, well, what general area were you in when you dropped them? Wayne says, in the living room. Now, it sounds completely ridiculous, right, in this story, that they are searching where it's not even at. And I don't know about you, but I would never do that, right? None of us would ever do that. No, not like every day. Seriously, how often are we looking in people, places and things for answers when it's right here in the divinity that you are, in the expression of greatness that you are. It's right here. You are a spiritual being beyond understanding, and you are also this magnificent human being too. These are two very distinct points of vibrational attraction, but they are one. Together they make the whole. That is us. And when we finally start seeing ourselves as the us, as the spiritual and the human being, as one, that's when we're going to be able to start living the true light and love that we need to be. When we're connected and joined and cultivating that relationship, spending time with ourselves, that's when we live from the greatest point of joy and happiness and contentment. I get to use another visual, because sometimes this is another big thing like spiritual being. Where, what's it look like? Okay. Anybody heard of the iceberg? As to the understanding that when you look out and see an iceberg, it looks like a hunk of ice floating on top of the water, right? That piece that you're seeing, and I did read this from the Smithsonian article, that piece that you're seeing is 10% of the entire iceberg. The biggest portion, the 90% of the iceberg, is underneath the water. This is exactly this human and spiritual being contrast is with us. This human being is about 10% of who we really are, okay? The bigger part of us is a spiritual being that's funneling into this and into our lives. But once we realize that this is all the same, this is all the whole, the 10 and the 90, the human and the spirit, it is one. You got three options here. You can choose to operate from that 10% that you see, feel, taste, which is going to really probably open you up to fear, anxiety, worry, humanness, falling prey to sometimes listening to that outside noise. That's just operating from the humanness. You can also be, la 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 la, life is amazing and great and everything is perfect. That's probably living maybe a little bit too much from the other side too. So it's really about balancing those two pieces. To being aware that humanness is tough sometimes. But when we look at it from the whole, the perspective, 10%, 90%, that makes us who we are, and we look at it through the perspective of the spirit that doesn't have any worry, that doesn't have any fear, that is eternal, that is this love and light now and forever, that's a game changer. You want to be operating from the combination of both of them. You are a complete and whole being, spiritual and human. And both of them are meant to be significant, beautiful, loved, enjoyed, and good. And sometimes it's tough, sometimes like, so how do we get to this? Again, we want to focus on different things. As Abraham was talking about this blended being thing, she talked about a story about her and Jerry, and they traveled a lot. And it was early on in the GPSs, and they had a Magellan, and she really loved it. She named it Maggie. Jerry wasn't so sure of it because he was the navigator, so he felt replaced. So they start out, and he lets her go for a while until finally he's like, we're going the exact opposite of where we need to go. She's like, up, looks at the compass and realizes he's right. So she says, I think we should go back to where we started, reprogram it, go all through this and see where it was that we went wrong. I don't know if it was the Magellan, if it was me, or something like that, the roads, what it was. And she sees this expression, so she stops. He says, or we can start right here where we are and go forward. And trust me, I get it. I love to chew on crap. I love to analyze and pick stuff apart. I've gotten better, and I'm still this. So start where you're at right now and go forward as the love and the light that you really are. Because honestly, we are loving, caring, nurturing people, And we want to help other people and make the world a better place, right? Well, where does that start? Right here. Right here with yourself. By helping yourself, you're going to inadvertently help other people. So it's up to you to allow that energy to flow. Remember that you're the dam. You get to regulate. You get to decide. How much am I going to let go? How much am I going to flow? What kind of energy do I want to be to the world? And that I have got the backing and the power of this to do it. So I love it when I find these things that just put my stuff together in some really cool words. So I'm going to close on two things. And one's going to talk about love, and the other one's going to talk about light. The one is Luminiti Mocha has a site on Facebook. And one of the posts said, I am awake. I am the creator of universes. I am conscious of and in command of my own abilities now, and I choose to use them for the betterment of all in this life and beyond. I am pure essence of love. This is important, guys. I create love. I give love. I receive love. I am a survivor. I am a believer. I am a warrior with a path. And nothing is going to stand between me and my higher self. That is living from your purest potential of love. This is deep, guys. Take a breath. We're going to go down. God is consciousness. The divine is consciousness. It's not even just a creator. It is the source of all creation itself. God is not some separate being, either that condemns or is superior or is different as what we think, like many would like us to believe. But once you believe that it's out there, you're giving up your power. You're giving up and separating yourself from source, and you're limiting yourself. So know that God is a force. The divine is a force. It is a divine energy. It is a frequency that exists in you and everybody. When you get that, you're going to beam like the sun. You're just going to shine. This is what living life is about. The love and the light that you are and you always have been and always will.